and welcome to a necking edition of the Addicted to Social Media podcast. I'm Neil Weiser.
I'm Seth Goldstein.
And I'm Jody Rains.
And we have a special guest this week, Jody's neck.
Ta-da!
It's emerged.
Still your head.
Still slightly sore, but Jody, you have a very nice neck.
I'm so glad to be back among the living.
Yeah. So if during the podcast at any points anyone hears any cracking sounds, we'll know where it comes from.
Probably her Jody's kneecap.
We'll also know where the other sounds come from, and they're not coming from here. So
which sounds is that?
I don't know. We'll find out, won't we?
All right, never mind. This is a family podcast.
Sometimes.
So, right, but anyway, so we're really thrilled that Jody is mending, and we're very happy about that. And I am back from my travels out west. I was in Vegas, baby.
Sin City. Did you gamble?
A little bit. We won a return of 600% or so of what we gambled.
What does that mean?
Which means we won like $20.
Well put, Neil. All right. So
it sounded more impressive the other way, though.
Yeah, Neil, when you went to the casino, did you use a pseudonym?
The pseudonym?
Did you use a pseudonym?
Why would I need to use a pseudonym in a casino?
Cricket. I'm trying to lead into our first story.
Oh, that one just went so high over my head, it didn't even touch my hair.
And that's pretty hard to believe.
Yeah, can you believe that?
Anyhow.
Okay, so what he was really talking about was Google is going to do something that we've bitched and moaned and complained about, which for quite a few weeks, and a lot of people have as well. For those of you who recall that you had to use proper names on your Google Plus account, which is, I guess they're finally bending to the will of the masses and are going to allow pseudonyms.
It's still not happening yet. They are still trying to figure out how exactly to go about doing it correctly, but they are indeed adding pseudonyms in eventually. You will probably still have to, sorry, my camera's all messed up. You will probably have to still attach it to an email address and attach it to your real name, but the whole thing is you can hook it up to a pseudonym when you're actually posting on Google Plus. So
yeah, I don't know what the big deal is. I mean, all they need to do is just create another field. Got a nickname? Put it in there. Do you want to use your nickname?
They have one.
Name? Check the box.
They have one.
Okay.
How do you guys feel about this? Do you think this adds value, or do you think it detracts from what Google Plus initially was trying to do?
I think it detracts because I like to know what idiot's saying what on Google Plus. I mean, like, someone says something stupid, I know that at least the person's using at least a proper name, whether or not be his name or whatever. He's using a proper name, and you can kind of put a name behind the face. I mean, it makes trolls. I mean, there's a big trolling issue out on Google Plus and Hangouts, and if his name is Mofo or something like that, literal MOFO, then we don't know if that's obviously not his real name, and it's kind of like you can't really hold him accountable. I mean, you can, but then how am I call someone BuzzTweet 5264 in a hangout? Like, hey, BuzzTweet 5624, how's it going, buddy? Like,
yeah, but I think Google Plus, though, is a different kind of environment where people aren't going to necessarily be so quick to follow BuzzTweet 5264.
That's true. I think
on Twitter, you're more likely to do that.
It's more screen name based. It's more screen name based. I mean, a lot of people I know that are even social media people were unable, that their name was like John Smith. They couldn't get John Smith, and they wanted John Smith 0522 or whatever the heck it is. They decided to have a fun name on there instead, and they built their brand up just fine with it on Twitter. But I think Twitter always had an aura of anonymity for the most part. On Facebook, still, I mean, for the most part, I mean, people can still lie about their names as long as they're proper names. They can still say something else. I know some people in Google Plus that are using not their actual names in Google Plus, which is fine because if no one knows, what's the difference? But I'm in the process of writing up some books on Google Plus right now, and one of the things we say is if you have a stage name or a professional name that you want to use, make sure it's not like Jose Cuervo or something like that. I think Jose Cuervo may actually work because it's actually a person's name. I mean, he might get sued for using a brand name, but that's besides the point. I mean, the point being is that I think you can use pseudonyms without having to use pseudonyms. I think you can use a pseudonym and just, if you're, Tong from Japan or China and you want to, post anonymously, you'd say you're John from San Diego. and you're anonymous. I mean, there's ways to make yourself anonymous without necessarily making stupid little names for yourselves.
I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's probably a good thing that you can do pseudonyms. Yes, there will be people who will unfortunately abuse it, but I think generally speaking, people are starting to become savvy enough where they won't be following the Buzzkill 329 or whatever the name is that we were using quite so readily on services like Google Plus. You will have certain people squatting on certain celebrities. I think that'll happen.
I don't think you can, Neil, because we also have that obnoxiously long screen number. So you're not really squatting on a name. There could be more than one Brad Pitt out there, and because it's not affecting the URL bar. You know, on Facebook, there's a squatting issue because it's facebook.com/Neil Weiser or Seth M. Goldstein or Jody Raines. Whereas here, there's no vanity URLs yet, so I don't think you're really squatting on. You can't really squat on something that you can't squat on.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got a point there. Okay.
For once.
Yeah,
once. It happens every once in a while.
Jody? Hello, Jody.
I can barely hear what you guys are saying.
I lost my headset.
You can't hear us?
I know I can.
No, I mean, it's coming in all garbly, so yes, everything you said.
Okay, all right, so I'll talk a little bit more into my microphone.
I think you've talked enough. Let's
all right, moving on.
I'm wondering about the faux pas that happened recently with the Google engineer.
Oh yeah.
What do you think, Jody? Tell us what happened.
What happened?
Yeah.
He ranted and by mistake he sent it out to roughly 2,000 people.
A reply all mistake.
It was kind of a big mistake.
Yeah, what he was doing, he was comparing his former employer, Amazon, and how they run their business to how Google runs their business. And instead of making a private post to just internal Google employees, he applied it all to like 2,000, like Jay said, 2,000 plus people. And, you know, and then there's something that says something really cool about Google is they didn't fire him. Like most companies would say, hey, you're being, you know, insubordinate. We're going to fire you for saying this stuff. Google brought him into a meeting and said, hey, how can we change? So that was kind of neat.
That's actually a positive thing, but he didn't just, you know, do a little bit of a rant. I mean, it was a 5,000 word post where he tore apart his previous employer, Amazon. He tore apart Jeff Bezos. He tore apart Google Plus. I mean, he didn't hold back. And
why should he? If he's an opinion, he should be able to share it.
Well, no, I agree with that, but it was just it was one hell of a faux pas to click that thing and go public. I can imagine how scared he must have been when he realized what the scope of the mistake was, you know? Yeah, just like that, Seth. Yeah.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever sent a note and you thought you were replying to one person, you wound up replying all?
I generally, whenever I reply all to most people, I put everyone in BCC. So generally, it might reply to all people, but they won't know. I hate when people send out a note as a carbon copy, so then everyone has everyone's email address, and then everyone decides. And then everyone then decides to then use that as a marketing opportunity and spam that list and saying what they do for a living. I love those. It lasts for about 2 weeks.
The worst one I ever got had to do with I think it was the UMDMJ, and they were having a networking event and fundraiser.
Oh
and
no!
They must have sent it to a list of, I want to say a few hundred, but they were the business owners. And what started happening was people started saying, please take me off your list. But when they replied, it went back out to everybody.
They didn't reply all.
Well, and then people were saying, please stop. You know, it was, take me off your list now. And of course, when they did it, it just made it worse. And I don't know how many emails. I must have gotten 100 emails that day from people saying, do you realize that you replied to everyone? And that would go to everyone.
That happens on Facebook, you know, when people add a string of people on Facebook. This is one of the biggest pet peeves I have in Facebook, is that people from like high school will think this is a really funny thing, and they'll send out, and they won't post it on their wall, they'll send it out as a message to everybody. I'm not sure it still happens with the new Facebook messaging thing, but it did it a little while back. And then everyone will start, oh, that's awesome, no, that's great. And the thing is, it's just like, oh my God, don't, like, and it's not their fault, because they can't not reply to all. But I mean, God forbid that message in Facebook that didn't really apply to me. All right, thank you for wasting 2 seconds of my time. You're not wasting. Every time I hit Facebook, I have those little numbers are increasing, and I'm like, stop it! Don't use that feature. Zuckerberg, fix this.
I know, it's awful.
So
what about Google Plus integration with Blogger?
Yes.
Well, not just Blogger. I mean, they're moving aggressively to integrate Google Plus across all of their platforms, including a Google Reader. This Google Music Store that they're going to be launched is going to be highly integrated with Google Plus.
It's going to be really neat.
More and more I see people getting frustrated with Google Plus. Just today with Facebook.
Yeah.
And migrating to Google Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just earlier today I saw a post about how many people have reacted negatively to Timeline.
Oh. I think it's neat looking, to be perfectly honest with you. I think it's really neat looking, but I don't really get how to use it, and I'm a social media person. It's not very intuitive, and I kind of like the way the old I can't believe I'm actually saying this. I can't believe I even have an opinion on this, but I actually kind of like how the old Facebook profile page worked. Like, if you wanted to write someone a message, you went to their wall and wrote them a message.
Right.
I think they were trying to compete against Google, but they overshot Google and went into the deep end and drowned.
Well, did they make that Timeline live for everybody yet?
No.
I don't think so.
No, but
I didn't think so.
I see more and more of them, though. And the thing that is frustrating, so last night I was very happy, very pleased with my news, and I posted that I was able to take off the neck brace.
Mm-hmm.
And then I posted something after that. But instead of appearing like one and then the other,
Mm-hmm.
what happened was they were adjacent, and people were commenting to one and commenting to the other.
Oh, that's
it was
nuts,
really,
yeah.
It was difficult to see where the responses were. It just wasn't.
It's not threaded, and and actually I've noticed that generally doesn't happen in Google Plus, and I've actually noticed in Google Plus what's been really nice is that it seems like the engagement's really high. I mean, I've heard some pretty big names like Neil Dash. They wrote, "I don't get Google Plus. I don't enjoy it. I don't get what people see in it." I'm like, I wrote him back. I'm like, Neil, I said, you look above me. There is probably 40 people that wrote you back. That's what's so great about Google Plus. I mean, recently I just topped 7,000 people following me on Google Plus. I don't know why. Thank you for following me.
Nor do we, but good for you.
No, I mean, I obviously post interesting stuff. I'm on there constantly. But
well,
the thing,
that's part of the point is that you are on there constantly and you're building up.
But you're building your network. That's the point, Neil. You're building your network, and then what you're doing is, if you use it, I post up. I start with a side project about writing about Google Plus for Google Plus guides for specific industries. More on that later. But what I do is there's also a blog there, and I posted a few tips for Google Plus on there, and they went absolutely viral. I mean, viral for me. I mean, most things on Twitter, I'll get 2 or 3 retweets or comments back on it. Here, I have a string in there that's like 48 comments deep.
Wow.
And I'm not Kevin Rose. I'm nowhere near Kevin Rose. I mean, nor am I going to actually put the blog, make SethGoldstein.net go to my Google Plus page. That's ridiculous. But it's just Google Plus, the engagement is so high if you invest the time. And there's ways you can still engage in Facebook. There's ways you can still engage in
You do spend a
Twitter.
fair amount of time, Seth.
I live on Google Plus. I live on it. So and
that's an investment that pays off.
Yeah, Jody, you are too, and I mean, and I understand, Neil. I mean, you've been kind of preoccupied with your computer breaking, and
so I finally got my MacBook, of which I'm speaking to.
Doesn't he look all sparkly? And he actually sounds quite good too.
Yeah, and so I'll be finally spending a lot more time on Google Plus. I've been waiting to do that for some time. And
Jody, I've seen Jody's on there, but Jody, one thing I know, Jody's sitting on her motorcycle is her correct account.
What?
That's
I've got 2.
Don't admit that. Don't admit that.
I've got 1.
You got 1. She got 1. All right, so let's continue. So we said Google Plus is integrating with a bunch of different services, which includes Blogger, Google Music Store, which is coming out soon, is going to integrate with Google Plus. And the neat thing about that is you're going to be able to share, a song with circles. And say, hey, listen to this song. They're all going to get 1 free listen to the song.
That sounds so weird. You can share a song with circles.
But the point is, you
only get. What do you mean you only get 1 free listen?
Everyone else gets 1 free listen to that song to see if they want to then buy it. But the thing is, unlike Spotify and Facebook, which we'll talk about later down the road, it's not automatically posted to your wall. So not everything you listen to is going up to your wall. It's when you want to share a song. Hey, this is a really good song. You're able to share it.
It should be.
It's the way it should be.
Well, that's Facebook's frictionless sharing.
Frictionless. How about alienation sharing?
stalker sharing.
Exactly. So
There's more and more complaints about it, and honestly, I'm still feeling very uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, but
I had a stalker. We had a stalker on our political page.
Oh, really?
You're just Jody. You're just too cute for your own good. I mean, that's the problem.
I don't think about it. But yeah, so we're in the middle of a campaign here in Voorhees, New Jersey, and
Reigns for president.
Yeah, yours truly is running for township committee. But the funny thing is, the other side, there's a gentleman, and I use that term loosely, from the other side, who jumped on our page and started like writing disinformation and like casting aspersions at our statistics. And the inclination was to call him on it, but I just welcomed him to the page. I thought I took the high road.
Oh, that's a nice slap in the face.
Well,
welcome to the page.
Well, actually,
the word is troll.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a few of those on Google Plus too. So,
well, actually, Jody brings up a good point about how to handle trolls, or how do you handle trolls on a community page? I mean, do you engage them directly? Do you refute them? How do you challenge them?
You don't challenge them. You don't challenge them. I've learned that the hard way on Google Plus lately. They say something mean, you either welcome them like Jody did, or what you do is you ignore them and move on about your business.
It's hard when they're disruptive, though, especially in Google Plus Hangouts. I told you about
Hangouts. Yeah, they're horrible.
Yeah, they can be disruptive. But there was a guy about 2 years ago that I was following on Twitter because he had posted some interesting stuff about. He's an American, but he was posting a lot of stuff about Israel and things, and he had some interesting posts on there. But then he started, over the period of a few months, he became incredibly, I don't know if it will qualify as right-wing or left-wing in Israeli politics.
Some kind of wing.
Some kind of wing. I mean, he was definitely pro-Israel, but he just was going way off on a deep end and being really extreme about it. Mm-hmm. So I started debating him on Twitter on some of his stands, and I was just not so much debating that he's wrong, but he was making statements, and I was like, okay, so you've made this statement, justify it. What do you mean? Clarify your point. And at first we had some really interesting discourses.
Neil.
It was great at first.
At first, keyword is at first.
A lot of people were. I mean, this was before people were starting to do like Twitter chats and things with hashtags. So it's probably what we should have done. But then he just started going off on these crazy rants after a couple of weeks, and I finally got to the point where, like, buddy, you know what? You're completely unreasonable. You're one of those people who it's your way or the highway, and you can't have a reasonable conversation with somebody like that because they're not willing to admit that anything that they say could possibly be wrong.
Yeah, I actually have an example of a troll today. I've been following a bunch of people on Google Plus and. Just interacting with people one night, and I started up this gplusguides.net. We're writing a bunch of guidebooks for different industries, and there's a blog on there. So I wrote a blog piece today, a real brief one about some ideas on how to use circles. So Angelique, who writes for our blog, wrote that she liked it. One guy said this guy doesn't have some obscenities, doesn't have a darn clue what he's talking about. You don't use it to follow topics. Circles use follow topics. It's only to use it for privacy controls. He said only for privacy controls. So Angelique jumped in. A bunch of people jumped in saying you're wrong. It's for whatever you want. It's very loose, a very loose thing. You can use it for whatever you want.
Right.
I jumped in and I'm like, I don't know what this guy doesn't deserve to be should have his internet license revoked. So I'm sitting there and I'm like stewing it, kind of laughing.
Wait a second, you need a license to be on the internet?
Apparently, yeah. He's being dramatic. But so eventually I jumped in and it got a little heated. And at the end, I kind of figured out, like, I could respond. There's a way to respond. And the thing you have to make sure you do, and it's hard for me too. I took it a little bit personally. Is don't take it personally. They're just being trolls, and that's what they get. They want to get a rise out of you. They're being bullies. Or they're just being ignorant. This guy was just being plain old ignorant. Like he was like, there's only one way to use this. He had 200 followers on Google Plus, which I'm not knocking that. But all he did is talk about the latest beer he drank, which is all the more power to him. That was his thing. I found him in the beer circle, so that's fine. But he's the thing is he's in a circle that's a topic. So it's like the guy shared it, and he's in some guy's circle. It's a topic.
Wait, you have a circle called beer?
I know. I just followed him because I followed the circle to see what was in there. But
okay then.
Boy,
anyway,
I'm suddenly reevaluating. I'm suddenly reevaluating the names of my circles.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But anyhow,
What do you think that Google Plus brand pages?
yeah. Well, actually, before one more thing I want to say about what's integrating, and I think it's gonna be really helpful, is Google Reader is integrating with Google Plus finally. I know, Neil, you're a big user of Google Reader.
I live in Google.
Exactly, and so this will make it easy to share out from Google Reader. And I think because I was using Google Reader for a while there, but then I put way too many. You ever I mean, you get hit with this, but Judy, have you ever get hit with this where you follow too many feeds, you just can't keep up, and you literally you drown.
It's a useless exercise.
Exactly. So this is a good way to go through and find some good articles and build your brand up without having to go to every individual website. So I'm going to jump into my Google Reader again and
Well, I'm curious to see how they make the changes, because one of the things I'm a big proponent of is one-click sharing, whereas you don't have to go click a menu item or whatever to share the item. And right now, I did a tweak to my Google Reader, which allowed me to post to, I can't remember if it was Twitter or Google, one of them. But anyway, I've got on the little send to drop down box on the bottom of the post. If you use Google Reader, you know what I'm talking about. That's where you can post right now I could post to Google Plus, Facebook, or Twitter, but it's a pain that I have to go down there to click that. I mean, with their technology, these types of tools should be right there up on top next to the title of the post or whatever, and just to enhance the sharing.
Actually,
I look forward to seeing the changes.
I actually have some inside knowledge on this, and I was talking to a Googler, which I'll keep his name out of it because I'm not sure if he should have really been talking about this or not. I just don't want to get him in trouble. But what he said is that he hinted at the idea that they were going to integrate with the +1 button. As you know, +1 now, it's not just +1. It's +1, then a dialog comes up. You can write a comment in there and then decide what circle you want to post it in. That's what he hinted at, was it going to be something that he does.
Sense.
Something like that. So, but we'll see. I mean, I think this in general. I mean, I think it will actually make Google Reader more sustainable to Larry Page, because Larry Page has recently been on a real binge about cutting the fat. And honestly, I think Google Reader is a very important part of it, but it's been frustrating to use. And
Google Reader has
been frustrating to use. I mean, and it's gotten better every year. Every time they iterate on it, it gets better. But I think with this Google Plus thing, with Google Plus, I think
it's actually make it functional.
I think everything they bring everything into Google Plus, and obviously Google Plus works very well with the search technology, and that's their brand. It's Google Plus with search, and I think that might be a future of it. I don't know, but
that actually is the direction more or less that Google said that they're going with Google Plus. I mean, the whole company, right now Google is synonymous obviously with search. But the plan, as I understand it, is really Google is going to become a social network with search, like you say. And search obviously will play a vitally important role to it. And they have many other services as well. But it's going to be a fascinating metamorphosis as we see Google become a more social, or a total social platform.
Well, it's evolving. It's metamorphing.
Yeah. And actually, speaking about metamorphosing and growing and building out, Google has finally, there's been a leak. I'm not sure if it's a controlled leak or whatever, but there has been some ideas of what the Google brand pages would look like. There's a link in the show notes. To me, they look kind of like the Google Facebook timelines, mainly because there's a big photo at the top, and then I think it looks sharp. I don't
have a problem with the way timeline looks. I just have a function with the way they function.
Nice.
You have a function with the function?
I have a problem.
You have a function. You have a functional dysfunction with the dysfunction.
They did scan my brain and they did find one. I just wanted to let you know.
Exactly.
A function?
But but here's the thing about
a brain.
Oh my god, guys.
And I have a neck.
Yay!
I know.
No, so I have a neck is the podcast title. I have a neck. No, but the thing about the brand pages, I think that Google's doing right, that Facebook isn't doing right, is that they're taking the big photo at the top that really brands the section, but then they're continuing the feed and the functionality that pages have down below. They might be adding more features in later on, but I think that's the thing that Facebook Timeline doesn't have, is that now they changed everything else down below, and you're like, what the heck? You don't know how to use it. They changed too much. Whereas with this, it's generally the same thing.
Change is okay. It's not so much of changing. Change is okay as long as it's intuitive and the user interface is there.
Facebook and intuitive does not go together.
Well, see, when you change it and consequently people are confused or they find it difficult, then that's a problem.
Yeah, and
in
then
my humble opinion.
and then they don't react to it. People will bitch and moan about Facebook in their
Well, they have
timeline.
reacted. They've slowed down the adoption of timeline.
Yeah, but it's still. I mean,
I don't know. You know what? They could still roll it back.
they could roll it back. They've done it in the past.
You
But
know?
so what's this, Neil?
Yeah.
What's this about Google possibly doing something with Yahoo? Buying Yahoo? Is that true? Yahoo?
I'm sorry, are we talking about Yahoo or Yahoo?
I thought it was Yahoo.
Or Yoo-hoo? Yoo-hoo, Yahoo.
Yeah.
Yahoo is a chocolate drink. That's different.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. Yahoo, Yahoo, whatever is on the block again to be sold. The company is just a disaster, and it's interesting because I'm wondering what the price will be that ultimately it'll go for.
You won't be able to afford it.
Me?
You won't be able to afford it. You don't make enough.
No.
Nice try, Neil.
maybe I can buy a share or two.
Yeah, maybe it'll be Neil Who. Neil Who?
But it'll be interesting. I mean, it'll definitely be a challenge for regulators because, I mean, Yahoo has, and I can't remember the number, and I'm not seeing it in any of the posts, the number of the Yahoo email addresses, but there are several hundred million that they have, and when you combine that with Facebook, that is, pretty much, I'm sorry, Facebook, with Gmail, that would pretty much double Gmail's size, if not more than double it. There's a lot of really interesting assets at Yahoo. It's just the company is run like junk, and
it really
I think if Google was just financing an acquisition, that would be interesting. If they're acquiring Yahoo, they're going to have to jettison a couple of pieces.
Exactly, but here's what
satisfy regulators.
Yeah, here's what some of the talk has been from what I hear from all the podcasts I listen to and all the things I've been reading, is that there's two possible ways about Google going about this. One's pretty much going to be impossible for it to get past the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, which would be Google buying Yahoo as in its whole. Yes, Yahoo is now the search is run by Bing. But still, there's that FTC regulation that Google would then own a way bigger part of the search market than they should. But I think there's more of a talk that Google's in talks with private equity firms who would be buying Yahoo, and then they would want to come in and cherry pick. I mean, I think if Google bought Flickr, for example, and replaced that, integrated that Flickr in with Picasa, and so it's Picasa Flickr or whatever the heck they want to call it. I think because Flickr, I think, is a great service. I just think that Yahoo is killing it, and I feel like there's bits and pieces of it. Like Yahoo News could go very well with Google News. There's bits and pieces I think they could use. I think Google should leave the Yahoo Mail alone. That should be its own separate thing. That's literally Yahoo Mail could be its own separate company because I think they have more users than Gmail actually. And it's actually not a bad product. I mean, I have a few Yahoo addresses I never check. Not very good spam filters, but it is a good product, and people do swear by it.
Nicely with Facebook.
And it does. So what I'm saying is, like, there's bits and pieces. I think that if Google can cherry pick from Yahoo and take a few items, I think they'll boost. I think they'll make Google that much better, but without really ticking off the U.S. government. Because we do know with the Buzz fiasco of now it's now dead, but with the Buzz fiasco of a year or two ago. Google now has to deal with the feds for 20 years. Every year they have to report to the feds about what they're doing. So
you know what? That is so ridiculous because whatever Google has done pales in comparison to what Facebook does and continues to do.
Or Microsoft has done in the past. I mean,
they just they just got bitten, I guess.
They get bitten. I mean, literally, it's one thing. Are you getting caught? Who's in your corner? Who's lobbying stronger? There's a lot of.
I think it's the lobbying issue and whose political campaigns you're donating to.
Exactly, it's who you have in your pocket, and obviously Google doesn't.
The political part of it's huge.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where Eric Schmidt, if he doesn't say anything wrong, might be actually good for Google to have in Washington. Eric Schmidt Goes to Washington, the new movie by Miramax. But speaking of Facebook, I feel like we've been talking about Facebook intertwined with Google, but I think we do have some Facebook actual news to talk about.
And what would that be?
Well, everyone knows that Spotify made, in my opinion, a dumb decision. That's my opinion, and I'll stick to it. To insist that everyone has a Facebook account to sign up for Spotify. Spotify is a much anticipated, now launched in the United States, European, subscription-based music service. And a lot of people are saying that Facebook and Spotify, which are now really partnered up in a really strong way, could actually beat out iTunes. I think it's a possibility. I think that now with that Google's finally getting into it, and there's still Amazon there. I don't think that I mean, being iTunes might be half the battle, but they're still haven't won the war because there's still big players in the market. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, people that are iPhone aficionados, that are Apple. A lot of them have admitted that they don't use iTunes to buy music. They use Amazon to buy music because they like the catalog better. So I mean, I think if they beat iTunes, great. Aren't they beat iTunes? What they do? It's whatever. It's not. I don't think it's as big of a story as they're making it out to be. What do you think?
I think the more interesting fact is, honestly, Spotify. I'm sorry. If you have a Facebook, the way they should do this is that if you had a Facebook account, you automatically have an account with Spotify. That's not how it works yet. You still have to sign up separately to Spotify. You can just use your Facebook credentials.
You have to.
Right,
now.
But my point is, you can see the benefit to Spotify if what I just said were true, that everyone who has a Facebook account automatically has a Spotify account.
Yeah.
I think it's a great position for Spotify to be in, except for one thing. If you have to have a Facebook account to log into Spotify, Facebook then controls Spotify. And I'm not just saying tells Spotify, that maybe they should do this or that and the other thing to integrate with Facebook. No, I mean, you have control over that service.
Totally.
And in much the same way that, what was it, Zynga, when they filed for their IPO, it came to light how much control Facebook has over Zynga. I mean, Zynga is almost literally an operating unit under Facebook at this point.
But they're breaking out now. Well,
they're starting to, but the way the documentation was, what they claimed to the SEC in their filings, Facebook, if Facebook decided to pull the plug tomorrow on Zynga would be dead.
Yeah,
they do have inroads on other platforms and such, but as of right now, Facebook can turn to Zynga and say, no, you can't do that. And Zynga will say, okay.
They do have them by the NADs.
Yeah. So Spotify, it's a similar type of relationship. In that when another company controls your ability for your users to log in, you pretty much have to do whatever that other company
does. But I think it's completely, utterly different. Then we'll get to Jody real fast, but let me respond to this. I think it's still different. I mean, Spotify could very easily just turn off the Facebook login and make everyone sign up for an account. I mean, versus Zynga, that is built into the core of using the Facebook API, the game engine, everything. They are so integrated. Whereas Spotify is a separate app completely. They have their own business and everything like that. I see what you're saying, that they are kind of by the balls here with Facebook, but they could. I mean, it would hurt them if they had to go and reinstitute a new login credential.
Well, of course it would hurt them. It would hurt them a lot.
But I don't think it would put them out. I don't think it would be as drastic as it would be for Zynga if Facebook pulled the plug on Zynga. Jody, what do you think? We've talked enough.
I think it's annoying when I see people using Spotify and I have to have my stalker column, ticker column, spammed with all the Spotify stuff.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's actually what Google Music is going to do right, is that it's going to, Google Music, to go back to Google, we're intertwining these two topics a lot here today, but what Google Music is, at least their talk is that Google Music is going to let you post your songs, allow you to post your songs to Google Plus when you want to, not automatically. And also it's going to potentially allow you, and I'm not sure how this is going to get by the RIAA or the music industry, but it's going to let you share a song out to your specific circles, and everyone's gonna get one free listen to that song, which might boost the sales of that song. Plus,
would tremendously.
But it's, on Spotify, it just says Jody's listening to James Taylor. Well, great, Lottie freaking da. If I don't use Spotify,
James Taylor.
I know, but I'm saying it's not like, oh, you get a free listen. You have to sign for Spotify. Yeah, it's a lot of hoops to go through. Neil, what do you think about that part?
Killed this thing.
Yeah, I think we killed this.
All right. Do you guys hear about the everyone knows Hosni Mubarak, the former dictator of Egypt, was ousted in the Arab during the spring, in the Arab Spring, which was a social media, Facebook and Twitter uprising by the Egyptian populace. After he left, the military took control. Most people were hoping that they would step down and let a democratic government emerge. But so far they haven't. And it looks like they're going back to the way they were before Mubarak stepped down. And apparently an Egyptian was sentenced to prison for 3 years. 3 years for something that he said critical about the military. Was it junta?
Junta.
The military tribunal that's running Egypt now, sentenced to 3
What did
years
he
in
say?
prison. I
What
don't
did he
know
say?
exactly. I mean, it was in
It was
Arabic.
something that was deemed insulting to Islam.
It's something is yeah, and I mean, yeah, I get it.
Well, hold on for a second. If he was posting something insulting to Islam, that's very different from posting something critical of the government.
I didn't hear that. I heard that was critical of the government. Our sources must be different. I mean, it is what it is.
I'm quoting you from the article.
Oh, it is? Okay, then I'm wrong. But still, I mean, take it for what it is. I mean, someone's getting three years for posting something on Facebook. I mean, that's really
Well, you know,
what happened in England.
It's the world in which we live. I mean, you're posting things. You're posting things on a public forum, and you know it's the same as walking into a public square and standing up and claiming whatever it is you're
Fire,
claim.
saying fire, even. Yeah.
Well, that's a little bit different though, because that's a public danger.
Well, but you know, it's the nature of their culture and their country not to speak against it, and that's.
I wouldn't say it's the nature of that. I think
it's their law. It's Islamic law, and you don't speak ill of your religion.
So if you know that that's your law and your culture,
you run the risk. You run the risk of it. Yeah.
But what's the story about NATO?
Well, this to show how even governments are using Facebook, which eventually they might be using Google Plus. Eventually, if Zuckerberg keeps on screwing up and gets put out of business by the government. NATO NATO, which is a North American Treaty Organization, uses
North Atlantic.
What did I say?
North American.
Oh, sorry, North Atlantic. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. NATO is using Facebook to report it uses Facebook to report the end of the operations in Libya. Everyone knows that. Well, everyone should know, unless you lived in Iraq, that Gaddafi was killed in a gunfight in his hometown.
That's under Iraq, not in Iraq.
In Iraq. Sorry, I can't speak today. Sorry. But
Seth, slow down.
Slow down. Well, anyhow, Gaddafi's dead. NATO, the rebels are in control of the country. They're gonna have a democratic election. They're still gonna rule it by Islamic law. But NATO announced using Facebook that they are done bombing the crap out of the country.
Well, they're not bombing the crap out of the country. They never were.
Yeah, they were. They were aiding the rebels, and they were bombing the country.
They were providing close air support, but I would hardly say what they were doing was bombing the crap out of the country.
All right, I retract that. I can't speak today at all. But they were providing strategic air support.
There we go.
Regardless, what about hashtags?
All right, let's move on. Apparently, there's a on Twitter.
Wait a second, Seth.
Yeah.
Take a break.
Calm
Breathe.
down. Wait,
we'll talk about hashtags.
Neil, enlighten us.
Tell us about hashtags, Neil.
Tell us about tell us.
Well, there's a lot of them. Looks like the pound sign on your phone. You push it. Okay, so basically, with all the Occupy movements that are sprouting up, not only in this country but around the world, people are making extensive use of Twitter and other social media platforms as well to organize and discuss and spread news about the Occupy movement. One of the interesting things that has come up is that there are now over 100,000 different hashtags on Twitter alone being used to talk about the Occupy movements.
And there are some that are parodies as well, like Occupy. I saw one that Occupy My Mom's Pants. I thought that was kind of funny.
I really wouldn't want to go there, but okay.
There are some parody ones.
What?
The people are saying Occupy blank.
Yeah, no, we get
joke
it.
hashtags. Yeah.
So, but it's just interesting. I mean, actually, I'm thinking that it's not really doing any of the Occupy movement a service, being that there's so many. I mean, of course, because the Occupy movement is in so many cities. I mean, Boston, Chicago, Dallas, Philadelphia, what have you. It makes sense to have an Occupy Boston, for example, tweet. But there should also be one or two or three overall umbrella Occupy hashtags that people are using. It's one of the characteristics of the movement at this point, because it's not a focused, organized movement. It's more of a
cluster.
What?
More like a cluster.
No. It's a public it's a Occupy cluster. It's a grassroots uprising, I guess, for lack of a better word. But because of people's general lack of satisfaction with the economy and what's going on in the world, although some people are also adding other items to it.
It's so diffused, and everybody's protesting for different reasons. Regardless, the point, though, I guess, is that there's a lot of hashtags.
all right. That's what it is.
That's the point.
That's the point.
So Occupy people, get your hashtags together. Do us all a favor. Consolidate.
Consolidate and iterate. So,
Yeah.
do any of you guys watch The X Factor with Simon Cowell?
Never
You know,
once.
I'm not really that into it, and I can't say that the fact that they're now using Twitter for votes is an extraordinary leap for social media.
It's
Yeah,
not an extraordinary leap for social media. It's an extraordinary leap for television.
yeah, but the thing is also, I mean, a lot of people would have to. They used to have to either call in or text message in or go to the website. This is just another avenue for them, for people to connect and vote, and for them to collect more information on you. So.
Yes, but I think it's a cool thing. I mean, they're trying to use these tools, and it is a smart way to use Twitter. So,
Yeah.
I
So.
think it's a pretty cool thing.
So,
What about these phishing scams that are going on? Let's talk about that because I think our readers need to know about these things.
well, there's yet another Twitter phishing scam. If you get a DM that says the following, there is a rumor / blog going around about you, and it gives a link. Might want to read it. Don't read it.
Does anybody read DMs anyway?
I do when I know who they're from, but here's the thing: is that they may infest your Twitter account and then send it out to your followers. So
How would that happen?
What?
How would that happen?
people,
You read a DM.
it can hack. It may hack into your account. It may
How?
get your password. I'm not a hacker. I don't know. It's happened before in the past.
No, I guess I'm wondering when you click on a DM how that's going to infect your account.
Well, it
Well,
infects your computer.
it's probably going to download malware into your machine. Is what's probably going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Based on the site that you wind up with after you click the link.
And then they can get your password to Twitter and log into your Twitter account and spam from your Twitter account. So there's a way to do it. I mean, it's happened in the past. I mean, not from anyone who knows what they're doing, but from people like I know that one of my friend's fathers is on Twitter and used flower for his password, and he got hacked. No surprise. And he started sending out spam, and I knew it wasn't him because I don't think he would know how to do that, but he had to change his password. So it's social engineering. Any number of ways you can lose your password, and you can send out tweets.
It's the scam of the week. When I was in Vegas last week, the big scam seemed to be the $50 free Starbucks card.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
that was going around Facebook last week.
Yeah.
So.
Anyhow, Jody? What's going on with Twitter going quietly testing a timeline feature?
Okay, so I thought it was interesting because obviously all the squawking about get that Twitter squawking about the Facebook timeline. There's a redesigned timeline which is being
Another one?
kind of quietly tested on Twitter. And when you hover over a tweet, it produces an open link that allows users to open a tweet to see who retweeted the message, as well as view the entire threaded conversation. So it sounds like it'd be pretty cool.
But do you use Twitter.com? No, exactly.
Actually, I do.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes I do because here's what happened. I prefer to use TweetDeck, but TweetDeck crashes all the time. It is an API hog.
API hog, and it's owned by the source company.
I don't know, but it's a memory hog, and I tried to download it for my Chrome as a Chrome extension.
Oh, that's even worse.
Can't get that to function correctly. So in order to go back in, I do go and do it reliably. I do use the Twitter interface.
Yeah, I've actually noticed on my TweetDeck for Chrome, that's what I use. That every once in a while I'll send a DM to someone who I know is following me, but it won't send, and I'll go into the Twitter homepage and I'll send the DM through there, and it goes through perfectly. Kind of interesting how Twitter just bought TweetDeck and they're doing nothing with it except for getting rid of Deckly.
I don't think they're doing anything with it. I think one of the problems is that they're probably treating it as a legacy app, and they're probably trying to figure out how to integrate it. I mean, I think it's good that Twitter is trying to at least experimenting with adding new features. I don't think I've seen iterations of this in the past. There was actually a plugin about 2 years ago or 3 years ago that was out that I installed in Firefox that pretty much did the same thing.
Power Twitter?
It might have been. I can't quite remember.
It gives you little extra features, but in the timeline.
Yeah, I mean, if you posted a link, it would put to a picture. It would put the picture in the timeline. It did some pretty cool things, but I think the problem is that it's putting it in the timeline directly, as opposed to adjacent to the timeline. And what I mean is, when one of the reasons I love Twitter is that I can scroll through and see a lot of tweets very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do it nearly as fast in either Facebook or Google Plus.
You just don't know how to. In Google Plus, there's a way to do it in Google Plus. I'll show you after the show.
Where all the everything would be collapsed and not expanding.
It's a plugin.
Okay, so that's plugin. So we'll talk about that. The point is that if they went into sort of like a 2-column model, which I had discussed at one point and so on, whereas your original tweet is in the same location, but if there were a website or thumbnails attached to it, if that was adjacent to it, next to it in a column, that would reduce the vertical height of the post, and I think would allow you to scroll through things much faster.
Neil, you're not a UX expert, are you? A little bit, yeah. For the people who are listening to it, Neil's holding up his fingers, the tiny signs thing. Neil has a little bit of a background in UX. So.
Usability design.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
I've done quite a bit of it in the past.
He's a little bit of a nerd when it comes to that stuff, but self-proclaimed.
I just happen to think that the more information you can get into a given page without cluttering it up too much, the better, and anything that makes it faster and more usable.
Exactly. So let's move on to Foursquare.
Foursquare. Are you guys still using Foursquare?
Nah.
Not that much?
I use it every now and then. I mean, if I'm checking into a conference, I'll check in there. Every once in a while, I'll check to see if there's a deal there, but generally, no, I don't.
Is Foursquare still actually growing? Because I've actually noticed fewer and fewer check-ins showing up in my Twitter stream.
I think in certain aspects, people are using it. I think people who are late to the game. I think the fact that Google Plus now has location based in it, and there's this big following on Google Plus, that there really isn't a need for Foursquare anymore. Like if I'm checking into a location, I'll check in via Google Plus because obviously I want to share it with people.
Right.
I think once Google Plus and Foursquare link up to each other, I think it'll be nicer. I think right now Google Plus only now got an API. I think that it will be a nicer when all these other plugins that used to integrate with Facebook and Twitter only will now integrate with Google Plus as well, so that maybe these other services can interact with it where there's a big following. So
you guys use Goala at all?
I haven't used it since it stopped working for me. So
do you use Facebook check-in?
I don't check in.
Places, Facebook Plus Places. Aren't they canceling that? Are they canceled in other places? They use the same verb for multiple products.
They should cancel it. They should get rid of it because it's a very annoying feature.
Yeah.
What's annoying about it?
I've got one person that I network with, and I have to know when he is having lunch and where, and I have to know when he's going to the gym and when he's getting gas for his car.
You know what that sounds like? It sounds like you're a stalker.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's a stalker. It's her being inflicted to be.
It buzzes my phone. I don't know.
You can turn it off. But here's the thing about that. And that's the problem here is that Facebook Places, the check-ins for Facebook Places, made the common person realize location-based services. The thing about Foursquare was it was still very much a higher brow technology crowd that was using it. So you didn't get people saying it wasn't. I felt like once I saw my cousin starting to use check in at places, I'm like knew it was going downhill. So
no.
Anyhow, did you guys? Now here's a debate that I know Neil and I will have. And Jody, feel free to pipe in and beat us over the head with your opinions as well, which you're allowed to, because we'll just dominate the conversation. 40 minutes. According to the ComScore, 40 million mobile users access the social media daily. Now, my thought on that is that's a lot, but I'm surprised it's that much because we're talking about mobiles on cell phones versus I think on your computer. The people are checking in a lot more than them. A lot more people are checking on that. Neil, you have a different opinion.
Well, I just seriously question the results of their survey. I mean, I've seen many other surveys which suggest that those sorts of numbers are dramatically higher, and I don't understand. To me, they're saying roughly 40 million mobile users in the U.S. access social networks on their handsets on a daily basis. That number seems way low to me, based on everything that I've seen and heard and all my experience.
ComScore's been wrong before.
They have been wrong before, as have many other services. I don't know what their methodology is because I haven't gone that deep into the article. I'm just really surprised about it. I would assume that number to be at least 50% higher.
Yes. Jody, survey says.
Yes.
Do you have any opinion on this, or should we move on to Bing and Facebook?
I think we should move on because I think it's kind of cool that, Bing has been the search engine for Microsoft versus Google. And interestingly enough, they're now promoting a Bing Firefox, where Firefox uses Bing as the search mechanism.
Wait, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
Okay, so usually when you use Firefox,
Yeah.
Google's the default search.
Yes.
Okay, so now there's a Bing, like Firefox with Bing search that's coming out.
Why would you want to use it?
What's that?
Why would you ever want to use Bing?
Because it searches a little bit differently, and
It does produce some good results.
It does. I think what
Yeah.
the thing is with that is that what happens when you use the little search bar up at the top right corner of Facebook of Firefox, they actually get a commission on every search. So Bing is I think Bing is giving them a bigger cut versus Google. I think that's the reason why they're trying that.
Is this just a version of Firefox with Bing as the default as opposed to Google?
yes.
And you can always change it back. It's very easy to change it back to Google.
Yeah.
I recently had Ask take over my computer. Every browser made me start using the Ask toolbar. I have no idea what I downloaded, but it was relatively easy to change everything back to Google. But beware of checkboxes that are pre-checked.
Yeah, when you're installing and downloading software.
And most free software, it's bad. I still have Ask popping up saying, "Hey, you want to make this the home bar?" I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So
Well, how about with Java? What is it here? The Java update. Have you guys ever deal with that?
that's what hit me. I think.
On Windows. What?
I think that's what hit me with Ask. I think they had a deal with them.
No, it's Yahoo. Every time I go to update the Java module, whatever it's called in the machine, it always tries to download the Yahoo.
It's all about money. They get
It's about money.
commission.
It's just
That's
that
interesting.
annoying.
I didn't even know that was the case, that they give a commission back or some kind of, but it makes sense that they would.
Yeah, and I mean pretty much And here's a tip for the week. When you install free software like Java or anything that is free, and it's like, well, how can this be free? It's a really powerful thing. Oh, when you're clicking through, don't be so impulsive like I've been many times. We all have
Well, like
been.
most people are.
Yeah, exactly. Accept. Click through, but make sure you look at all the checkboxes, because
What are you going to do? You're not going to update your iTunes?
no, you update it. You update it. Just make sure you uncheck the thing that says, yes, I want Ask. I didn't even know Ask was still around until yesterday. I mean, Ask. You used to be Ask
I
Jeeves.
like Ask.
Ask doesn't give you any good
I ask
results.
sometimes.
You use Ask?
Sometimes, yeah.
I used to use it when it was originally called Ask Jeeves.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I use Excite. No, I don't. I use Google. And every once in a while I look at Bing for the picture.
But there are other search engines, okay?
There's DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo is actually pretty good.
Just so you know. I'm just saying.
DuckDuckGo.com is a good search engine. And
they just got a huge round of funding this past week. I heard.
And it's run by a guy in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. Out of his basement.
Really?
Yeah.
Local boy.
Yeah, no, but literally, it was one guy who built this whole thing. One guy.
Didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah. There is your little known fact of the week. Speaking of things of the week, let's talk about our picks of the week. Like how I did that?
I did. That was a good segue.
For
Yeah,
once.
for a change.
Very impressive.
Much better than the first one. The first one
Yes.
went, woo!
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah, Neil, what is Swipe Good? Is it a good swipe?
Actually, it's a pretty cool service. What you do is you use your credit card or debit card to make a purchase as usual. If it comes out to say $5.99 is the total, it'll round it up to $6, and that 1 penny would be then donated through Swipe Good to the charity, one of 700 or so odd charities that are signed up for it. And also they'll hold it to like the end of the month and combine it with all your other purchases, so that you don't get hit with fees or whatever it is. I forget how it all works, but it minimizes transaction issues, so it would be a single transaction.
Where do you find this? Is it at swipegood.com?
Swipegood.com. It's a pretty cool thing. So if you feel like you want to donate a little bit every day and it rounds it up, it's got some. You can limit how much it does certain things. I'm not sure if it's the rounding or the total that you would donate every month. I'd like to know if I can get a receipt for it so I can claim it on my taxes.
Yeah, you
But
probably could.
it's a pretty cool service, and I like it. I have to check in a little bit deeper and see, because I'm trying to do services that benefit my daughter's school, because there's a search engine that does that.
Really, which one?
What is the name of it?
That's not good. You don't remember the name of it.
Well, I said I try to use it, but I always forget the name of it. But anyway, it's pretty cool. So if you are philanthropically rather, inclined and want to make a little bit of a donation by rounding up your purchases, set up an account at Swipe Good. I think it's pretty cool. And one thing that I noticed was that I went to swipegood.com, it already is in HTTPS.
Nice, very good. Anyhow, Swipegood is spelled SWIPEGOOD.com.
Yes.
I mean, I know some people. I know at first I thought it was swipe with a Y, SWYPE, which is a new alternate
you're
keyboard.
Of Skype.
No, I'm not thinking of Skype. I'm thinking of Swipe for the Android keyboard that we can change our keyboards around.
Oh yeah, that was the big thing today. Yeah.
Exactly. So my pick I have two picks of the week. One is actually that plugin I talked about briefly about makes Google Plus a little bit easier to scan through. But the first one is IFTTT, which is IFTTT, which is if this then that. It says IFTTT.com. What it is, it's a social widget filtering program. It's really neat. I think I really like the design. It's very clean design, very easy to use. And essentially, you can make these recipes. So if you want a text message that tells you that it's going to rain today, it can do that. If you want, I have it right now. Every time I write something on Google Plus that's under 140 characters, post it to Twitter as well, because I'm mostly on Google Plus now, but I want my tweets to hear the good news as well. So the other one I have, and that's at IFTTT.com. The other one is called Plus Minus. It's a Google Chrome extension for Google. It's a Google Plus extension for Chrome that pretty much lets you not only minimize your streams so that they all come in like a one-liner real fast, in a stack instead of having them expanded. You can also have them come in and expanded as well. It also lets you, let's say I'm following probably, I don't know, right now following around 2,000 people on Google Plus, but I have them in specific circles. Now, it also helps you limit what circles are showing up in your main stream, which means that if I only want, a few of my circles to show up in my main stream, and I want to go to click in the other ones to see the other stuff later on, it makes your stream a little bit more user-friendly, a little bit easier to operate. So that's you just search for Plus Minus for Google Chrome, or you can click the link in the show notes. So Jody,
that's interesting. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
So Jody, how much do you like dislike? I mean, how much do you dislike Facebook? Sorry, that was a terrible segue.
It's a really bad segue. And you know what?
He had a good one, and now
downhill.
Yeah, you're cut off from caffeine from now on.
I actually haven't had any all day today.
I don't know what you're on, but you're
it's his residual from yesterday.
Exactly.
Is it? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but you're like.
I'm so excited to see you, Jody, out of your neck brace. I'm so excited.
Oh.
You have a beautiful neck.
So anyway, Facebook. You know how many times you see something that somebody posts, but you don't want to click that you like it because that's not really the way you feel.
Yeah.
But you want to acknowledge it, and so you want to click dislike.
Yeah.
And there's no dislike button.
Yeah.
Well, there's a Google Chrome extension that allows you to have your own dislike button.
Now, is that aggregated anywhere so people can see that they were disliked?
I think you have to also look at it through Chrome.
Yeah. And is there a neutral button, like you want to acknowledge it, but you have no opinion either way?
No, but I'm sure we can suggest that. It's just dislike.
So wait a second, but
like when like one of my friends posted something about animal cruelty, and they have these horrendous pictures of like animals and sad things that people were doing to the animals, and you don't want to click that you like it, right?
Yeah,
but only people. I mean, would other users on Facebook see my dislike?
I think they see the dislike when they have the dislike plugin.
Right. Okay.
It's still very meta, but it's a novel approach.
Darn it, I can express myself, okay?
And we love you for it, Jody.
Millions of you out there who are listening to Addicted to Social Media are going to also go to Chrome and download the dislike button, so we can at least see each other's, right?
There you go. How could you say no to that face?
Oi.
Oi. So anyhow, on to announcements. I have an announcement which I've alluded to earlier in the show. I am in the process, along with a friend of mine named Robert Anderson. We are writing a bunch of Google Plus how-to guides for different industries. So right now we're working on the definitive guide to Google Plus for photographers and how photographers can get the most out of Google Plus. We're gonna do, what do we have? I think we have a slate of 40 to get done this year, so I'm gonna be busy for a little while there. But
it's a really nice interface.
Yeah, and so I built a website. Thanks, to, kudos to WordPress for their 2010 theme. It's very nice and clean. It's very user friendly. So if you're ever looking for it, a good theme, this basic theme to use, but go to gplusguides.net. And check it out. I posted a few blog posts up there. I will probably link back to them from A2SM as well.
What's the URL?
gplusguides.net.
Right, that's what I thought you said.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and real fast, I want to apologize. I am doing screen capture, but a few pop-ups have popped up at the bottom of the screen capture for Hangouts that are happening. I'm using a plugin called Hangout Canopy by Chrome. Helps you find Hangouts. Lets me know when certain people are hanging out on Google Plus. Very neat. It's free in the Chrome store. But you guys have seen that a few people have been hanging out while we're on the podcast. So I apologize for the little extra stuff going on at the bottom. Sorry about that. So,
that explains it.
Yeah, neither of you guys have seen it. But so Jody, how can they find us?
Well, obviously you can find us at A2SM.com. You can email us at editors@A2SM. We always like to hear from you. You can call us. And if you call us, we would be happy to, and actually we'd like to hear your voices. The number to call us is 1-478-A2SM-118. Or if you're dialing it, it's 1-478-227-6118. You can tweet us at A2SM. And now on YouTube, you can find us at A2SM Official.
Yes. It's also a2sm.org/YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Was that what you were looking for, Seth?
That was you sounded beautiful. I think you're gonna be doing that from now on. So Neil, where can we find Mr. Weiser?
I am at Neil Weiser, NEALWISER, pretty much everywhere on the web.
And
.com, Twitter, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn.
What about Google Plus? What's your A2SM.org Google Plus? You've been away for a week and you already forgot about that.
A2SM.org/Neil.
NEAL.
NEAL.
All lowercase.
The proper spelling.
Nah, I disagree. My dad's name is Neil. It's NEIL, but
he spells it wrong.
Yeah. Oh!
Did you just say it was all lowercase?
All lowercase, yeah.
I actually didn't realize it was case sensitive.
It is. The Neil is case sensitive. Neil is lowercase. Anyhow, you can find me at Seth Goldstein on Twitter, at SETHGOLDSTIN on Twitter. You can find me at SethGoldstein.net. You can find me at gplusguides.net. You can find me at A2SM.org. You can find me and you can also find me on Google Plus, where you can find out all these links. I'm talking really fast. At A2SM.org/Seth, all lowercase. And yes, I will cut back on the caffeine. And Jody, where can we find the beautiful, intelligent, now with a free neck, Jody?
It's not free, but it's
coming there.
No longer contained. So yes, thank you.
Bravo.
Yeah, bravo. I feel so much better. You can find me at A2SM.
Well, she's glowing if you look at her. you do look like you're glowing, and I hope that's just the neck brace was the reason.
Oh.
Believe me, with a broken neck and a broken neck, that's like pretty much the reason. No matter what you're inferring there, Neil. But anyway, you can find me at A2SM.com. You can also find me at my website, which is webmarcom.net. And my blog, webmarcom.net/blog. I missed the drum roll. Where's Thank you.
And you also have a new site, don't you? Isn't joeyrains.com?
Oh, that's kind of under construction. I've had that for a while. It's just an extra URL that, I figured I'd build out.
It's pretty.
Oh, gosh. That was your inspiration, Seth.
Well, I'm glad I could help out.
I'll tell you about that later. But anyway, yeah, you can find me on Twitter as Sunswept, SUNSWEPT. And of course, as Neil said, the normal places, LinkedIn, Facebook, about me, whatever. Yeah. Where else?
A2SM.org/Jody with a Y, all lowercase.
All lowercase. Where do we find you, Seth?
Oh, yeah, I already told you.
Oh, okay. Cool. So I guess that's it, guys.
Yeah.
Another
Okay.
exciting edition of the Addicted to Social Media podcast.
It's in the can.
So, Neil.
Okay. Well, this has been, yes, another exciting edition of the Addicted to Social Media podcast, where everything is in lowercase unless Seth says otherwise.
And Jody has a neck.
And Jody has a lovely exposed neck now.
Something's exposed.
Hubba.
Maybe that'll be the title for the episode, Overexposed.
Jody has something exposed.
Jody is overexposed.
No, or Jody's overexposed neck. We'll figure something
I just
out.
think leaving it as
I don't think so.
We don't need to qualify it.
All right, we won't qualify.
We
it.
digress.
I'm Seth
All right,
Goldstein,
everyone.
and I will cut up back on my caffeine. Who are you?
Please.
Who are you?
Thanks for putting up with us. We'll see you next week.
Okay. Adios.
You're supposed to say who you are, but that's Neil and that's
We already
Jody.
did that.
Oh, we
Yeah,
did.
we did that like 7 times already.
Oh.
No more caffeine.
Pay attention.
What squirrel? Okay.
Set.
Woo! All right. Bye, guys.
Adios.
Bye.